Now we will move to the next part of the session, which is the town hall session. I would like to introduce all the three speakers one after one. So let me introduce Dr. Shay Baramirad. Dr. Shay Baramirad is a Vice President of Climate and Resilience at Quanta Technology and an adjunct professor at Illinois Institute of Technology. She advises cities and utilities with operational risk assessment and developing mitigation strategy. Climate teaching execution in the energy sector, including Vice President of Engineering and Smart Grid. She is the IEEE PES Vice President of New Initiative and Outreach, overseeing PES engagement with policymakers globally on technical issues. Please welcome Dr. Shay to the town hall session. I'd like to introduce Dr. Lena Bertling Tijenberg. She is a professor in power grid technology at KTH Royal Institute of Technology. She is the director of the Energy Platform and coordinator of lifelong learning at the School of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science. She was previously a professor at Chalmers University of Technology and with the National Grid. She completed her PhD degree in the electrical power systems at KTH in 2002. She is actively involved as an advisor and expert in various professional organizations, and her current appointments includes the Program Committee of the World Energy Council, National Strategic Council for Wind Power, ISGN Academy of Smart Grid, and National Committee of CIRIT. In addition, she is a part of expert pool for the EU Commission. Please help me in welcoming Lena Bertling Tijenberg to the town hall.
Thank you.
I would like to introduce Dr. Edwina. She has more than, sorry?
Uzunovic.
Sorry for that. Okay. She has more than 20 years of experience in the power systems industry and academia. She was a vital contributor to the success of several leading power industry organizations, ranging from utilities to manufacturers. She fulfilled different roles as a technical officer, senior quantitative analyst, and senior R&D engineer. She has received a number of awards, including first place at the IEEE PES Student Poster in 1999, the EPRI Awards Innovators and Technology Award for contribution to the FACS technology in 2002, and the U.S. National Committee of SIGGRADE Recognition Awards for noteworthy SIGGRADE technical papers in 2002 and 2006. Please help me in welcoming Edwina to the town hall. So as a part of our town hall session today, I would like to give 2 minutes to each of the speaker to introduce themselves and give a kind of a position statement or something which can be taken into consideration for all the attendees, and then we can have a Q&A round between attendees and the speakers. Dr. Shay Baramirad, if you can go the first. Yeah, thank you.
Sure. Thank you for the introduction, and good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. It's wonderful to be with you here. The student, all the activities that we do for our students is basically creating the foundation for the future leaders of our industry and the future leaders of IEEE and PES. I have shared with what I think about how the future of industry is going with the issues that we are facing as a result of climate change, and the fact that we have to make significant changes about the different ways that we do business in electric utilities in many different parts and pieces of our industry. The technological advances that would be necessary to address these challenges is daunting to most, but for engineers, we run towards them to resolve them. As you mentioned, as part of my role as the VP of New Initiative and Outreach, I have led many different activities and partnerships globally, including United Nations, starting many new different initiatives, such as corporate partnership, the Industry Technical Leadership Task Force. That's a group of industry leaders that they provide fast-paced advice. Many different white papers has come out of that group, Smart City and the philanthropy part of IEEE PES, which is Smart Village. Executive Advisory Council creating a sounding board for the board of PES to create a connection between industry and the board, as well as starting the task force related to diversity. As the founder of Women in Power, that cause is extremely, and women in engineering is very close to my heart. And that task force has been looking into how we have to increase the diversity in PES, not only from gender perspective, but from geographical, from a global perspective. How we can create more opportunities for our younger generation to bring new blood into PES, and how we can position them in different succession planning, and making sure that they in a safe environment they practice the leadership in technical, in conferences, and in publications. From a financial standpoint, PES has been doing a tremendous job, and there is a significant reserve money in the PES that I think we have to think very hard how we have to make investment for the future, in terms of where we have to spend the money that would provide value to our members and make us more relevant in the future. One of the things that I've worked in the past couple of years is positioning PES as a thought leader in industry as part of our media engagement, and making sure that the PES has a voice in many different global conversations related to climate change, decarbonization, electric vehicle, and the standards that are needed. The last thing that I would say is that increasing the joint PES technical committee coordination with local technical committee work, I think it's extremely important. A lot of issues that we are facing as an industry, they are global, but the solutions are local. So it's extremely important that the connection between the chapters, which is the grassroots brain of our of PES, of this organization, is connected to the board and connected to the way that we are thinking about the future, and reaching out to younger, especially mid-career members and their employees through many different avenues, such as Executive Advisory Council, ITSLC, and making sure that we provide specific opportunities to participate and contribute in technical work, standards, and guidelines drafting. I would look forward to the conversations and that we are going to have, and answering any questions that you have for me.
You're muted, Anand.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shea. Can we go next to Dr. Lena Bertling-Tegenberg?
Okay, so hello everyone. So I'm saying hi up north. I'm very much up north now in Sweden, probably the most up north of maybe all of our members at the moment, because most people in Sweden have not been up here. So we have a holiday now. I hope it will be quiet in my background, because soon my kids want to go sleep. It's 11 o'clock here, actually. So my day job is that I'm a professor in power system, and I was introduced to PES when I was a PhD student. And like many of us that have worked with research, we had mentors, fantastic mentors that were part and members of IEEE, and all my professors were fellows in IEEE. So that's how the way I started to become involved. And my first conference was in 1999 in Edmonton, and maybe we met there, Edwina. I realized that when I heard that, so that's amazing. My involvement in the beginning was that I joined the technical committees, basically. And I think one of the great strengths in our society is that it's driven by people. And that's something I really love, that if you go for a conference, everyone is invited. You can just go into a room and get involved. And that I think is amazing. And since I come from Europe and I work at university, I have a lot of experience of other industrial organizations like CIRID and IA, etc., and they are not driven the same way. In those organizations, you're appointed by your company or your government, and it's very, very different, I would say. So that is the strength that I really love with our society, is that the members are involved. And what I really try to say to my students and my research team is that when you become a member of PS, it's for your lifetime. So it's a family. I mean, we are, and I mean, we know each other from our joints. So we are friends. So it's a combination of lifestyle, because we are interested, we have a passion in our work, and we work together because we want to do it. And it's a great difference, I think, if you have your boss telling you to go somewhere because you need to do it, from if you want to do it with your passion. So that is something I really love with PS. And I'd like to thank you for inviting me today and for the introduction. What I wanted maybe to add from the introduction is about my involvement, because I've been in the board for 2 periods, and I know Masana quite a long time because we were in the board at the same time. And Edwina, I think you came in at the end when I was in the board. I think we had 1 meeting together. And in the board, I've been treasurer and secretary, and I felt it was really amazing to be part of the board, because we could really work with the long-term decisions. And one of the topics that I have been very much involved with is the conference work in the ISTT conference series. So that is something that I work specifically with. And I think it's amazing to create the possibilities for people to meet. So that is the passion I feel with the PS, that we can really meet in all different countries and share our experiences and do. I mean, if we share the best practice, we can really do more. So that, I think, is the strength from our society, and it's just amazing. So I would be really happy to answer if you have any questions, and I hope I will be able to stay the whole panel. But you can also send me an email. I'm easy to find because I'm a university person. So if you just Google my name, you can find me. An email is a good spot. So if you have any questions about anything afterwards, since I'm not in US, I can say that I love to travel. So I've been visiting at many of our conferences, but since I'm also a mother, I've been traveling a bit less the last couple of years, but I will come back in the future also to travel a little bit more. So if you have any questions, just contact me. Okay, thank you to be here. Bye.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lina. I'd like to ask Dr. Edwina to introduce herself. Thank you.
Well, just to kind of connect to what Lina already said, I joined IEEE PS as a graduate student, and it was really helpful that my mentor at that time, I had John Reeve and Claudio Canizares, were really into PES, and that helped me a lot, first to publish papers, secondly, through PES, I visited a number of conferences, and yes, that was 99, Edmonton, one that was actually my second that I visited, again, through PES help. After graduating, actually, I didn't even graduate. I got a job with the New York Power Authority, and I decided to go to industry, which is kind of backwards because usually people go straight from PhD to academia, but I wanted to go to industry, and I was spent 15 years in industry and then found my way back to academia. So kind of I have a feeling for both worlds. It was also helpful to my career, the fact that all my companies that I worked for were really passionate about PES, and they allowed us to travel for PES business, and also they helped by paying for the conferences. So this is something that we should really work in getting industry to support PES and to support people who are volunteering for PES. That's something that is kind of recognized in the United States, but we should actually go globally and try to get more industry globally to PES, because we are kind of regarded as academia society, which is not really actually a fact, true fact. I spend I've been volunteering for PES number of years since a graduate student, but I started really getting passionate when I got to be a VP of Education back 2016 and until 2020. And then education came to be a big passion for me, because at this time when the industry is changing so much, right? And when you look at the universities, we simply don't have a time to teach all these courses that are needed. And these days is in power and energy industry, simply we don't have time to teach communications, IT, big data, artificial intelligence. So it comes to us naturally that once when you graduate, right, you have to take up a path either by taking master's degree, which to me these days comes to be like a must in a way. You remember after the Second World War, they say if you have an undergrad degree, you are good, right? Now we have to push that into master's degree. If there's not possibility to get a master's degree, then continuing education is also a must. So I spent 5 years as a VP of Education, creating education, not just for academia, it's mostly actually for industry, trying to get as many as possible of good webinars, tutorials, white papers into the PS University. I actually started PS University, and I'm really proud of the work that was done on the PS University, because it is now really globally recognized as a site to go. And the next step would be actually going even further and restructuring and finding it many more material going to Resource Center, which to me, Resource Center has to be a go-to place if you are seeking a continuing education. Next thing that needs to be done is continuing education units, right? In many, especially if you're industry, right, you have to take some courses, and those courses provide you with CEUs, and then you provide those CEUs and you get towards your professional engineering license. We are recognized in some states in the United States. I mean, we meaning PS courses. However, that needs to be done globally. And it is a kind of a big task. It's a huge task in such a way to recognize and to search every country that has a big number of PS members, find what kind of requirements are required from one course to earn CEUs. And once when we do that, we should be really recognized as a worldwide, a place to go to get continuing education. To me, continuing education is not just it's basically power, right? When you know something, if you are good in that, you are not stoppable, regardless of your background, of color of your skin or religion or whatever. If you have education, that cannot stop you. And that is something that I kind of really want to have that. I want to give that to everybody, so we have the same footing when we start our career. Another thing that needs to be done is also that English is recognized now as an international language, right? But still we have many members that are not into English, and we should actually provide education in their own language. And that is something that I would like to do. And something that started with this pandemic is the fact that we are now virtual, right? We never did that before. And I see that something that needs to be taken and actually adopted in the future in such a way that maybe not everybody can go to, let's say, general meeting for a meeting, but we can meet like this. And that will also help further to diversify our membership and basically give anyone a power to participate. So that's, I would like, something that I'm really passionate and I would like to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Edwina. Thank you, everyone. So I think we'll keep the format simple for the next 30 minutes. So we will have attendees asking questions for less than 2 minutes, followed by a round of answer from the three speakers for less than 3 minutes, just to make it fair, and we can have at least 2 or 3 set of questions. And the session is open to everyone now.
Anand, how would you time it, and how would the speakers know when to conclude?
Sorry, yeah. So I think I will do a chat, or I'll just put a message on chat, and then if you can just have a quick look and chat as well.
So Anand,
right.
sorry, are you opening it to anybody to ask questions now?
Yes, the session is open for anyone to ask questions now. Sorry, I think my internet connection was bad. Sorry.
Anand, I have one question for the speakers. How did PS change your life, and how? Simple. There are many ways.
Yeah. So I think thank you, Thiago, for your question. I can. So anyone want to go first, and then we can keep it for less than 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thiago, I can go first. PES has played a very interesting role in my life, both personally and professionally. I'm from Iran, and I've lived in several countries. I went to school in Sweden, and then moved to the US. When you immigrate from one country to the other, you leave your support system behind, both personally and professionally. The country that I didn't know the language, and I went to school there. Through PES and PES conferences, I have found very good friends, people that for 2 decades I have very close personal relationship with them. I have found my PhD advisor. I did my PhD at IIT through PES conference. I found number of internship through PES. In fact, I found my executive job through PES when I was the TND conference technical chair. Then the next job when I joined Quanta, that's how I met Demir as part of PES. I have hired many people through my career, interns and entry level, as well as in different even senior positions through IEEE PES. Anytime that I needed a technical help through a problem that I didn't know where to start, building a first microgrid, a cluster microgrid in the US, well, I knew where to find like the professional acquaintances and the professional network that you need in order to solve problems. PES has created for me for that. The leadership opportunity, these are both on the technical side. I've been part of Smart Distribution Working Group for many years, so that's another way that I was able to contribute. There are things that they're personally very close to my heart. Living in Iran and then Sweden and the US, and teaching and still seeing that the number of female students are a lot lower than in our industry. So that's how I started Women in Power, and many people, they provided the support and they allowed me to contribute to something that is personally important to me. So it's kind of a personal, professional for me personally, at the same time being able to create that opportunity to others. That's something that makes me extremely passionate to give back and be part of what PES is doing and the future of PES.
Thank you, Dr. Shea.
Okay, thank you so much for this question, and also very nice to listen to you, Shay. And I was very happy that you were at our university, because Shay was actually a student with my university when I was a researcher, so that's very nice. So if I look at my own background, I mean, it was not planned for me to become a professor. I became a professor because I was inspired, and it was my mentors, and they introduced me to IEEE. And as a researcher, you become very lonely. So to meet other people working in the same field was a strength. So for me, the start in IEEE was the technical committees, where I met other people excited in the same topic. And then eventually I arranged a conference. And then I really realized the strength of the network and getting involved. So that was how I started. But then I get more and more involved. And I think the passion, as I said in the beginning, that in a volunteer organization, there are no limits. It's the sky that's the limit. And I had a very long time in my life when I was working like all the time. And then you got a life, you know, with your work and friends that are everywhere. And the more you do, the better it is. And I think what I was doing was to start up the chapter in Sweden because it had been dead for many years. So, and I was leading it for 10 years. And then as a professor, I felt, and I'm happy to hear Shay, because one of the things that I felt is if you are in a small country that I am, it's really important when we have people coming to our country that you can have a platform somewhere to meet where people speak English. Because if you come to a smaller country, you maybe are alone. And we, as a chapter, we are independent because we also have industry, but they are competing. So I felt that in the country, the chapter was a platform for everyone to become. And so I have basically arranged a lot of seminars and activities and felt it was so fun. I mean, just so nice to see everyone come and things like that. So it has been very natural, I think, like that. And then I think it was Wanda. Actually, I was very inspired to meet some of the leadership in PS. And the first president that I came to know a little bit was John, and then when Pat Ryan came, and it's a funny story because I actually met them the first time in a conference in PowerTech, because if you're in Europe, you normally go to PowerTech. And I really remember because it was really rainy. It was raining, and we were standing outside to wait in a queue for dinner. And if you would do that in Sweden, people would be like maybe not so friendly, but here everyone was so happy, so friendly, and having so fun. And I was talking art and like paintings and sculptures with people, and I was, this is so amazing. And then I realized, oh, he's the, and I didn't even know he was the president of PS, and we were and people were so friendly. And so I think I was just happy to meet people that was so nice and very professional. So I always felt that I loved to work with PS, and it was just natural. And then so I think the leadership meant a lot. And then for me, I had another incident that I was at the first ISGD meeting in NIST, and I was sitting there in Rome. Maybe some of you were there. It was in 2010 in NIST in Washington. And when we were sitting in the opening, it felt like we were part of something big. It was amazing just to feel as an engineer, you were sitting here and we felt that we were actually on the same place where people invented the internet, and we were sitting there and felt, now it's we, now it's we, it's PS, we are doing something new. And at that opening, they said, we are planning to do another conference in Europe, but we haven't really decided. And I just felt, I want to do it, I want to do it, I want to do it. And then I actually went in the break and said, I want to do it. And I said, who is this? And then they told me, okay, you know, tomorrow you can come and give a speech to us. So at the conference, I just felt, I want to do this. So I was actually giving a proposal at the conference, bidding on making the conference. And for me, that been amazing. So I think in my sense, I mean, I've lived in my home country my life. So for me, IEEE has given me the possibility to do things that I felt I could do, and not stopping, you know, just inspiring me to do things. And I love that, because for my country, people are normally maybe not so active, you know, maybe they just don't, just people say, okay. So everyone should be the same and don't do more than others. So for me, I think IEEE has been a possibility to do things that I feel I can do. I'm excited. And that is, I think there's no limit. You can just do things. And that is the strength of the volunteer. And that is what I really love. So I think that's my, maybe too long speech, but thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lena.
Hmm.
Can we have Dr. Edwina for the same question? Thank you.
Well, I joined the IEEE PS as a graduate student back in Canada. And I'm originally coming actually from former Yugoslavia, Bosnia, and at that time war was raging back home, and you found a place actually that they accepted you, and then that was feeling really welcoming to me at that time. So the first time when I joined the PS was kind of vehicle to publish my papers. That is something that everybody did, but later on, going to those conferences is meeting other people at that time, graduate students, and as I actually moved from to professional level, meeting other people, that was something really that helped me in my career and then inspired me. And that networking is actually very important to everybody. I found my first job actually through PES. I was at that Edmonton conference. I got that first. I got that first place in the poster contest, and I got a job offer from NIPA. And then later on in my career, I was looking for another job, and actually ended up going back to academia through again networking through PES. That is something that was first of all very important, and then personally that really helped me is the fact that PS helped me to find my voice in a way to grow as a person, to realize that I can be a leader, I can do stuff, right? When I actually started university in Canada, I didn't speak English. Studying French back in high school, and then just kind of that was the first barrier that you kind of face, and you're not sure about yourself, and then you get to PS, and then you realize that everybody has an accent. That is kind of norm, and then you say, okay, great, I can do this. And then as I started volunteering and going to those technical committees, then you realize when I was a graduate student, I thought that somebody has to invite you, right? You cannot just walk into that room. And then you realize that people are actually so nice, and that you can just walk in and join that technical committee and participate in the conversation. And they very soon they will find you, if you are eager, that you can actually do the job, and that's how you start working for the volunteering for the IEEE. As I said, PS was really is a big part of my life. It's like important, and my family knows that. I have 2 kids, husband, dog, and juggle everything. Somebody posted a question, how you juggle that family and PS and the job. I don't know, honest. There is no formula. Everybody finds their own formula how to juggle those things. But if you really love something and you want to do something, then you find a way. So, and PS is a big part of my life, and I found a way. So that's me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Edwina. The floor is again open for anybody to ask questions. Thank you.
I can go. Thank you all for being here. And I have a question. I know Dr. Edina talked a bit about this, about using virtual platform to our advantage going forward as well. What are your thoughts in general? And so I say this because like a lot of students, sometimes it's hard for them to get the travel funds to travel to a conference and whatnot. So virtual conference is a great way for them to attend that. Do you plan to do any of that under PES, going forward, or is there a scope for things like that in which students can attend more things like that? Also, those maybe like undergrad students who are not so much involved in this just yet, but they would like to, or they would just like get a taste of it. So, what plans do you have for folks like that?
Now, folks, just a quick point here. Just we have a lot of questions here. Like everybody's very excited. So if you all could kind of limit the speech to like 2 minutes each, I'll really appreciate it. I really want the folks, the students, everybody to get an opportunity to ask and connect with you all. We really value, this opportunity, all of us here. Thank you, Anand.
Thank you. We have 2 more questions in the chat, so if we can get started. So Dr. Edwina, if you can answer this one, thank you.
Well, again, if anything good came out of this pandemic is the fact that we actually realized that we can do this. We can actually get together in the same place and discuss as we are present in one room. So that is something that should become a norm. And should I ever get to that position, that I would like to actually have that as a norm, in such a way that if you cannot travel, and many of us cannot travel for different reasons, it's not only funds, they should be able to participate virtually. And most of our conferences, I believe, after this are going to go virtually. And we should take advantage of that. And that will basically help us in a way that many people from different parts of the world will be able to participate. That's something that I would like to do, and I'm kind of passionate about it. As for the young people, we should find a way to get them together with professional branches in their own area. That's the first step, in such a way that they'll find a job in the same area, and they will actually learn what professional chapter is doing. Another thing that should be done, and I was thinking about that while I was at the governing board, we should actually mirror everything that we have as a professional chapters. We should mirror it for the university, for the student branches, in such a way that if we have a governing board for the professional chapters, we should actually have a governing board also for the students. And then you should actually have a couple of people from the governing board with the students participating with the governing board of the professional chapters. That will get us more together, and that will actually give more power to students, I think. I'm done. I'm keeping it 2 minutes, right? Less than 1
Thank you so much. Can we hear Dr. Lena now? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So I will try to answer 2 of your questions now. One is related to the balance, and I think I partly agree with Edwina. I mean, everyone finds their way. But one thing I can say that is that I try to have a rule that I have one day when I don't work, for example. So it's good to have some kind of rules, and then I think also it's good to separate to do different things different days. When I had my positions in the board, I tried to have a specific day in the week when I tried to do most of my duties. So I said this day is for this. So it's good trying to separate things because it focuses your mind. The other thing about with the I also agree with Edwina that one of the, if we can see anything good of the pandemic, is that we really took the step to learn to use digital media, and that we meet like this. I think it's amazing. But we also have to remember, I think, that one of the reasons this works now is because some of us, we know each other, okay? So we know each other and we have met. And otherwise, I don't think I will be sitting here, because if I never had met anyone, I wouldn't be here. So I think we should never forget the strength of meeting. So I think it has to be a combination that we should provide possibilities with digital, the training, education, etc. But I would really like trying to support students to travel, because I think to come and meet each other in person is very important. So I think what I would like to do is try to get funding so you can come to us, to get scholarships and to really invite young people to come to the conferences, because we know that the networking and meeting and traveling and everything you will learn, that is worth for your life. So I think that is something that I really would like to continue, that we will bring in a lot of students for our conferences, but also to provide a lot of digital meetings. So I'm closing up now. Thank you so much.
Sorry, thank you so much. Can I have Dr. Shea now?
Few things to add to what Lena mentioned and Edwina, which were great points. First of all, is that promoting student members to have a stronger voice in the decision-making process that we have. That's something that I think we can create a bridge between the future leaders of our industry to participate in, what we do in at the governing board level. The one thing that I mentioned when I made the introduction was the fact that we have a very strong financial reserve at the PES, and the fact and that fact isn't quite clear to all members. And what I would like to do is to create the transparency that is needed to make sure that all chapters and especially students, they understand that good ideas can get funded, and the participation will be supported, financially supported by the governing board, so that they can participate in meetings both virtually but at the same time in person. Edwina mentioned a great point about virtual connection. That's something, it's one of the good things about, I totally agree with her, of the pandemic. Now there are a number of platforms that we have tested and tried as part of PES conferences. We have to leverage those more, not replace them with meeting in person, but that's something that, again, utilizing that platform more and more. The last thing I would say is that I started Executive Advisory Council to create a sounding board of industry executives to the board. I would like to create something like that by students, again, the next generation of our leaders, to have a sounding board to the governing board. Not only in in North America, region 1 to 7, but globally.
Thank you so much. Yes, Dr. Edwina.
I would like to add something that most of people who are not participating in the governing board meetings don't realize. Most of the money that we are actually coming in, Shay is really right. Financially, PES is a kind of very secured a society. Not so many other actually societies. We are one of the leading societies within the PES, within the IEEE. But the fact is that most of the money is coming from the conferences and also from papers. And those two sources, conferences, because of pandemic, right? We don't know what's going to happen in the future, how that is going to affect us financially. Paper as well, most of the people are going into the digital, right? Onto internet if they find any kind of education. So we should really actually start thinking about that. And then again, that continuing education and continuing education units is something that we should think in a way of vehicle of continuing being financially independent and strong within the IEEE. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think we still have room for one more question.
Can I actually ask you what you would like to actually do from your side? Can you give us, all three of us are here actually, can you give us pointers, what you think? Can we turn the tables?
Yes, guys. So Anand, can we have anybody who wants to suggest, they have suggestions out here in the audience to speak up, take maximum 1 minute each, and share what you guys want from our leaders here. All of them have been out there for many years, and they will be serving us, leading our society as well. So the stage is yours, guys. So let's get your voices heard.
Anybody from the team? Anybody from the attendees?
I would just like to add, sorry. Okay, yeah, I would just like to add, like, whatever I asked was I mean, it sort of came out of a thing that I feel should be there more, because unless you do have an active lab or your lab mates know where to go, what conferences to go to, that's how a lot of people get into conferences. They just, apply to places where all the lab mates are going and so on. But if you are in a smaller group, smaller university or something, you may or may not know what conferences to go to, or where can you get your scholarship to go to, like a certain conference and so on. So having some sort of support will be very helpful for students in general, and that feeling of that you can go on your own as well. You don't have to have an army of people with whom you can go into one of these. So in general, that would be good to have like a sort of like multiple scholarship funds, especially for minorities or people who just don't have that many friends to just follow along with. So that's a thought I feel like should be there.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions? We have a couple of questions on the chat, so at the least I can take those as well.
Well, and I have maybe one thing to throw in to answer the question that was posed. One thing that I would love to see a little bit more with PES is it'd be great if PES were tied into the broader energy and climate discussion a little bit more. I think there's a ton of researchers who are doing really great work, and then a ton of people in industry and the government who are doing really great work in this, but you don't. It seems like PES can sometimes be a tad engineering centric, which makes sense because it's IEEE, but there aren't really a ton of energy related societies out there. And so it'd be great to see PES become more ingrained in the energy and climate discussion, and so that we could help bring in some of these voices that we don't normally get in the PES discussion to the table. I think that would be really fruitful for all of us here, as well as the people who don't normally come to the PES table.
Sure, go ahead.
Add a little bit with Lane. Just wanted to reiterate, there are other societies and organizations, especially now during the general meeting, we have a concurrent session of SEPA. They are working towards in power and energy industry. So, like, I was hoping if it's possible in the future, we do not have this sort of overlap with other organization programs.
To add to that, if you check Georgia Tech that Priya is coming from, there's a big energy group, like there's a big energy club, and I totally, Lane, we need to connect because this is something we are doing from a IEEE USA energy policy side team as well. So if you're interested in that area, that's a good place to be. If any of you are interested, that is too. And we have a big potential to really increase, like there's a student energy community, right? Like a huge community that would find a good place in PES, and the UN, the major group for children and youth that Shay kind of is connecting with, and there is a connection going there. So there's a lot of potential. Like this is not just power, there's energy, and energy it's very big. So I think if any of you are interested in that, let's get connected offline and let's see what we can do about that, how to move forward.
Thank you, Asala.
Anand, I have one point that I would like to share. One thing that I believe that maybe PES and IEEE, not so only PES, but IEEE in general can improve yet is that we have many young professionals and also senior members that decide, most of them working academic or industry, but in some time in their life, they choose to open their own company. And they face a challenge because they was not prepared in the university how to have this kind of skills, to how to open a company, what is important, this kind of training activities. This kind of focus on entrepreneurship, not focus on the academic and industry, but also provide some trainings or tutorials or some activities in entrepreneurship, in energy entrepreneurship, can bring a strong value not only for PES but for IEEE. This I am, as a young professional, this is one point that I would like to see in the future of PES and IEEE too. Yes, this is what I would like to see in the PES in the future as a young professional.
Thank you, Tiago. Conrad, do we have some time to take any more questions, or we are running out of the time for the next session? Conrad?
We could continue our discussion on spatial chat, and I think our guests here are all invited as well. If you could share the link with yes, and also give maybe closing comments to our guests, our very awesome speakers.
Sounds good, sir. So thank you everyone for attending this town hall session. Thank you to all the speakers. And feel free to join our networking event, which is just after ending this event. But that will be a bit not focusing only on the town hall kind of discussion. It will be open to everyone. So I think the link to the special chat is posted on the chat section here in WebEx. So if you are free and if you have time to connect to all the students and the volunteer leaders. Thank you so much, everyone. Once again, have a good day.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
everyone.
everyone. Great to
you.
meet you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Mhm.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you, guys.